This conference will now be recorded.
Today, I'm going to be showing you how our solution will provide you with instant access to all of your timekeeping and payroll information from anywhere on any device. You'll see how your organization will gain visibility into workforce data to make it easier to gather key metrics and predict trends to make more informed decisions and allow you to operate your business more effectively. We'll take a look at all of this in action. I am going to walk you through a typical employee's life cycle, starting from the employee's perspective, where we will look at how employees can track their time. Then we will look at some of the approval processes and reporting capabilities available from the manager's perspective. And finally, we will wrap up with the administrator's point of view, where we will process payroll. I'm going to begin by logging in as our employee, Josh. Josh can access his employee self-service portal from any device, including his phone, and he will have the same user experience across the board. When he logs in, he lands on his home dashboard, which is set up as a landing page where he has easy access to his employee self-service functionality. He can clock in and out, view his time off balances, and check out his schedule right from this screen, as well as view and print his pay statements and W-2s. There are a number of ways that employees can track their time within the system. First, we have a mobile app, which will allow your employees to clock in and out through their mobile device. Keep in mind that we can define geofencing restrictions to ensure that your employees are clocking in at the right location. Or we can simply geo-track, which will tag a location along with each punch for reporting purposes. In addition, we offer various different hardware devices. And of course, employees can also track their time using the web portal as well. Let's look at how Josh can collect and manage his time. I can use this clock dashboard widget to clock in and out and to change jobs throughout the day by clicking on the Change Job button. I can select the new job that I am clocking into. As you can see, a list of available cost centers appears for me to make my selection. The user will then be notified that this transfer happened successfully. Now I can take a look at my entire timesheet by clicking on the View Timesheet hyperlink. This will take me to my current timesheet where I can view my time entries. And if necessary, I can also request a timesheet change request by clicking the button in the upper right-hand corner. Here I can request that time be added or modified to my timesheet. These requested changes will be routed through an approval process before going into effect. The system also allows employees to add additional compensation, such as tips, mileage, and expense reimbursements by clicking the Extra Pay tab at the top of the timesheet. In this example, we are going to submit a travel expense that occurred today. Here we can select the date that the expense occurred and also the type of expense. We will also enter the dollar amount for this reimbursement and click Save. In addition to simply tracking the expense, we can also upload a copy of the receipt for our manager to review as part of the timesheet approval process. Once this has been approved, the extra pay will flow over to payroll and pay out to the employee. Now let's look at how an employee can request time off in the system. Right from our dashboard, we have instant visibility to our available time off balances. Keep in mind that we can establish rules which would require an employee to have enough time accrued to accomplish an upcoming time off request. In this example, let's request a day of vacation. We now have a pop-up displayed for requesting our time off. When completing the request, we can identify if this is going to be a full day or a partial day. Keep in mind that there is an optimized rules engine in place, allowing you to set up rules around how employees can take their vacation. For example, you could establish rules around blackout periods, or maybe only allow a certain number of employees to be out on a given day. If there's a violation against the time off policy, then the system will create an error and identify that to the employee when they are requesting. Select the calendar option under the date field to select the date that you want to request off for. You may also enter a comment for this request if needed. Once this request has been submitted, an email notification will alert the manager that the time off request is now ready for their review. Our self-service tool allows employees to print their pay statements and W-2s, access their direct deposit details, and update their tax withholdings, all from their My Pay widget. Employees can access all of their historical pay data by clicking on the View Pay Stubs link. When clicking on the Pay Statement link, we will see the pay stub details displaying all of our earnings, deductions, and taxes withheld. Here, an employee can download a copy of their pay statement. On payday, an employee will receive an email notification letting them know that their pay stub is now ready to view in the system. Employees can have access to their total compensation statement, which shows the total value of their benefits and compensation package, including employer paid items. All W-2s are easily accessible and available for download from the My Pay widget as well. We will now move on to taking a look at the system from the manager's perspective. When Paul, our manager, logs in, he has access to everything he needs to better manage his employees right at his fingertips. He can easily manage his day-to-day tasks with system-generated notification and to-do lists. Let's begin by taking a look at some of the items that are pending Paul's review and approval. Paul can access his approval items right from his team dashboard. Any to-do item will trigger an email notification to the manager, prompting them to take action. Here you can see that the time off request that we submitted for Josh is displaying as a task under his time off awaiting my approval window. Remember that we can set up rules around your time off policies so that by the time it reaches the manager's desk, it should be an easy approval. So we'll go ahead and approve this request. Keep in mind that you can set up multiple levels of approvals based upon your business needs. Once this has been approved, an email notification will go back to the employee, letting them know the status of their time off request. Now we can move forward with approving timesheets. Again, right from the dashboard, we have access to a window displaying all the timesheets that are awaiting our approval. The manager can approve these timesheets all at once or on an individual basis. Now, there are checks and balances in place to flag missing punches so that we can make sure that everything is correct before we send these hours to payroll. We can see here that our employee has an incomplete time entry. So let's skip this timesheet and approve the rest. Now we can drill into the timesheet to make the correction. We can easily identify the missing punch as it's highlighted here on the timesheet. It appears that this employee did not clock out at the end of the day, so let's correct his punch. Keep in mind that the system is capturing all of the changes in an audit trail. We can capture who made the change, when the changes were made, old value versus new value, and which IP address the change was made from. In addition, notes can be left against timesheets to provide additional information about why a change was made. If there is ever a discrepancy, you can always look back at the audit trail to get a better understanding of what happened. Once you've finished correcting the missing punch, you can move forward with approving the timesheet. Once these timesheets reach final approval, they are ready for payroll processing. Managers can also create custom dashboard reports to give them insight into what's going on within their department. Keep in mind that these tiles are customizable. You can determine what type of metrics you'd like to display here. Attendance is important when it comes to managing your team. So using the attendance status report, you can see in real time who is in and out of the office at any given time during the day. On this dashboard, you can also flag any missing punches, absences, or other attendance concerns. These attendance issues will trigger an email notification to management so that they are aware and can take any necessary action. You can also hold your employees accountable for their attendance by automating the disciplinary process or offering incentives for perfect attendance, all of which can be tracked within the system. Now let's take a look at the system from a manager's perspective. I'm now logged in as Kathy, who is our company administrator, but she's also responsible for processing payroll. When we first log in, you will notice that we have a dashboard screen enabled, which will give you insight into visibility to your workforce data. Dashboards can be configured for each individual employee based on their role and types of things that they need access to within the system. We can see that Kathy has access to all areas of the system, and we can quickly get to the key areas that we need from the home screen. Here we can see that she has quick access to process payroll. From this screen, she can identify which payrolls are ready for processing, and she can drill down into the payroll prep process. The payroll processing screen is logically laid out to define every step of the process in a checklist format, outlining a clear, easy process for the administrator to follow. The first step is to make sure that all of our timekeeping data has been approved and is ready for payroll. If we have any open time off requests or timesheets, those would be flagged for easy identification. The administrator can approve these items as needed. Ideally, we want to see that there are no pending time off requests and all the timesheets earn a status that are ready for payroll. Processing the records will create a data file that will be transferred into payroll. The system will look at the pay calculation rules that are in place to calculate rounding rules, overtime, etc. The next step allows you to review these results, which will give you an overview of the calculated hours prior to syncing them into payroll. The last step of the process is to lock down the timesheets to prevent any further modifications from being made to this particular pay period. Now that all of our timesheets are prepped, we are ready to continue on with the payroll process. The next step is to initiate the payroll, which will create pay statements for the specific pay date. The next step is to sync our time. Syncing the time will pull all of your timekeeping data from the timesheets into a batch for payroll processing. Let's take a look at our payroll batch. The batch view is customizable to include any of your earnings or deductions as needed. This is a screen that the payroll administrator would use to review the payroll data for all employees and all pay statements on one screen. If necessary, they can make manual overrides or make any additional edits to payroll from here. I'm going to add a bonus of $200 for Jennifer. As the batch is saved and updated, calculations are being applied in real time. If we look at Jennifer's pay statement, we will notice that the pay statement has not been finalized, but the bonus that we entered on the pay statement is now appearing on the pay stub. Our system uses geospatial technology to determine what taxes should be applied. It will look at where the employee works and where the employee lives to determine the appropriate taxes. And it is intuitive enough to calculate down to the local taxes, as well as considering reciprocity agreement between states regarding taxes. This means that you do not need to worry about assigning tax codes because the system automatically applies the appropriate taxes for each employee. Once everything is reviewed and ready to go, I can close my batch. The next step is add edit pay statements. This step allows us to view the payroll data on an individual basis rather than viewing the employee pay statements on one screen as we saw within the batch. Next, we need to make sure that we have reviewed all of our payroll alerts before we are able to close and submit our payroll. Here, managers and admins can add notes during the pay cycle to show up during the payroll process to remind the payroll admin to review something before finalization. We can simply sign off on this alert. Next, we can close our payroll. If there were any errors, they would be flagged during this step. At any time during the payroll process, you have access to your payroll reports. All of your payroll data is readily available through standard and ad hoc reporting. Built-in tools make it simple to modify standard reports to sort, group, and filter, or customize content for any time frame. Let's take a look at the payroll register. The information we are looking at on this payroll register is pulling from the payroll in its current state. Remember, we can look at this report even before the payroll has been closed, and we can see all of the calculations happening in real time for each pay statement. These reports can also be scheduled to deliver with your finalized reports. The next report I'd like to show you is the recap and funding report. This report offers visibility into your total payroll liability before the payroll has been finalized, and also offers you a graph providing a quick glance at the last pay period totals compared to the current pay period totals to make sure that you are in line. After the payroll has been reviewed and closed, we are ready to finalize. As you can see, our solution gives you greater control over your payroll processing to allow you to process an accurate payroll. Our powerful, easy-to-use solution provides the automated reporting tools and information needed to help you control labor costs, minimize compliance risk, and improve workforce productivity.